16th Street Racing League heads over to Gateway. Coverage here on RaceSpotTV is next.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big choke.
After the thrills and thrills of the road course 1 week ago, we welcome you back to a special late night edition of the 16th Street Racing League here on RaceSpotTV as drivers return to the Oval. And today is all about Gateway. It's one of the most historic venues in all of oval racing. It's pretty much an egg-shaped oval. The track measures 1.25 miles in length. You have got 2 different sets of banking in turns number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Turn number 1 and 2 has about 11 degrees of banking. Turn 3 and 4, 9 degrees. 3 degrees of banking on the straightaways, and drivers today will be racing to get themselves much needed points in the 16th Street Racing League. Will Winton along with Aaron Likens and Rachel Whiteford. And Aaron, Gateway. Well, At one point, it was a historic venue in the USAC era. Today, not so much, but drivers out front, Tim Holgate looking as though he's going to lead the way.
Yeah, historic in the sense that the first race here was actually a champ car race the day before the 97 Indy 500. I know Silver Crown, the USAC Silver Crown Series had many great races here. Track went out of business for a while. Dover Motorsport let it go, but the new owner has brought it back. They are racing here once again, and today should be a great race, sort of like Motegi, except a lot less forgiving.
There you can see them, the top 20 drivers on your screen. And Rachel, smaller field here tonight. We can only say one thing about that one. Go Colts. But it's going to be a tough race here today. It's like Motegi, but shrunk down inside. And these drivers are going to have to be very careful on the way they utilize their tires, utilize their car.
Yes, indeed. Well, good evening. Motegi, whilst similar in shape, much bigger, much easier track to race. Only one real set of corners you have to worry about, and that's 3 and 4. Here at Gateway Motorsports Park in Madison, Illinois, that is not the case. This track is tough from start to finish, and we're going to see a great race.
Tim Holgate starting on pole position here today. There you can see the grid running along your screen right about now. And, well, Aaron, we're talking about Chicago. Chicagoland, of course, is the most famous track right now in the kind of Illinois area. But Gateway, it's got its own special, unique features for drivers. And drivers today will be looking to hope that they get themselves a good event. Because points mean everything here.
Points mean a lot, and the tricky thing about this track is getting to the finish. Considering that you have 2 different sets of corners, you really have to have a car that might not be so strong in one corner but strong in the other. It's very hard to get a car with good balance, so finishing here today could be a challenge, especially with the dirty air that really can affect these cars. Expect turn 2 to be our trouble spot.
There you can see there the drivers are about to head themselves onto one pace lap before they get themselves racing. Actually, Tim Doyle very slow getting off the starting grid. There you can see him very slow getting off the starting grid, actually. Just trying to figure out. Tim Doyle, it looks like he's had a couple of issues. He won't be starting this race. He's going to start this race from pit road out.
Half the field is stopping. Something obviously is going on here.
We will try and figure out what it is as quickly as we can, but that will mean... Oh, we got a car into the wall as well. That's Austin Espert. Not quite sure what's happened there. So
everybody is stopping, so
it
red
looks
flag?
so, ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves a red flag. We will stop aside. We'll be back after these messages. Stick with us. You're watching RaceSpotTV.
Fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you
Brad
love it.
Davies, here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump for this one.
Under a red flag here at Gateway. We'll be back live with coverage as soon as we possibly can. But you know what that means, Aaron, don't you? We talk about the Colts.
The Colts, what a game today.
It was. Yes, of course, coming into this game, it was 1-1 between Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning going into Mile High Stadium. Well, everyone thought that it was going to be a close game. It kind of was as well. It was an incredibly close game. However, Andrew Luck getting the job done. He's going to head himself over to Foxborough in just 1 week's time to take on Indianapolis's probably fiercest foe, the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I think for anybody in Indiana Midwest, probably hoping for a Colts victory. However, around the rest of the country, I think a lot of people might have wanted to see one last matchup between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
What does this mean, do you think, though, now, for Peyton Manning? Of course, he hasn't retired at this point in time, I don't think, at least. But a lot of people said if he was going to lose to the Colts today, and we know he sustained an injury against the Chargers this season, is this the end for Peyton Manning? Will we get him back for another season? What do you think it's going to be now for the QB for the Denver Broncos?
I have to say, nobody knows right now. I would think not even Peyton knows what he's going to do. He really doesn't have to prove anything else, but when you're a competitor, I've read so many things from football stars, including racing stars, that, when you feel it's time to retire and you do, oftentimes it's the biggest regret in the world. You may have all the money in the world, but you've been competing your entire life, and once you retire, what is there? You quickly fade away. So
you got to work on Fox Sports.
Yeah, you can do that, but in terms of competing, maybe you can raise your Q score, come up with the best catchphrase. It's just not the same as being out there on the field with 60,000 fans watching your every move. So I think if his body can do it, he'll be back.
Of course, as well, you talked about the fact that the Patriots won. We've also had Seattle winning. We have also had Green Bay winning. Now, that was a very close game, Aaron, and a lot of people thought it was going to be close. It was close. The Cowboys, well, in many ways, karma struck them in the fact that they got a bad call against them when they had a pass interference. Sorry, they had themselves a throw to the 1 yard line, which was originally ruled complete and then ruled to have been an incomplete pass. I think there'll be a lot of people in Detroit who's happy, a lot of people over in Dallas right now who are not as happy.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions had a tweet, something along the lines of, "Hey, Dallas, we know how you feel." So, karma, perhaps, and I think that play, there's been many plays that have been talked about for many years, such as the Tom Brady tuck rule from, I think, '04 maybe in the snow. I think this catch by Dallas, or non-catch, depending on what side of the fence you're on, is going to be one of those calls. I mean, what constitutes a football move? Did he have it? Did it touch the ground? I know Cowboy Nation really is not happy, but for the Cheeseheads, they are quite happy and move forward.
I'm not happy. It ruined my bracket. That's the main thing. Because, in my opinion, it was a football move. You could see 2 feet go down. The thing is, in the back of the end zone, Aaron, 2 feet go down, it's a catch. If you get 2 feet with simultaneous possession, then you have possession. If you drop the ball afterwards, then you have yourself a fumble. And that didn't necessarily happen in this circumstance, but still, could ourselves 2 great matchup next weekend. Green Bay heading over from the Ice Bowl 2 even, all the way to CenturyLink Field, and then we've got ourselves the Colts. They're going to head themselves over to the frozen tundra known as Foxborough.
Yeah, and the weather forecast as of right now looks to be very interesting. Some really frigid temperatures here in the Midwest right now. That's going to move eastward with a, ice storm in Indianapolis starting tonight. Another system coming up behind it, so could be not just necessarily an ice bowl, but perhaps played in the snow, and that always adds an added twist to things.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're still under a red flag here at Gateway. We'll be right back after these messages. You are watching RaceSpotTV. Stick with us.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Still on the road, red flag here at Gateway. We've got ourselves Tim Holgate here. And Tim, well, normally we talk to you at the end of the races. We're talking to you before the start of the race here. Gateway, an incredibly tough track. What do you think your chances are starting from pole position once this race gets underway?
Yeah, hey Will, how are you doing? So one of our drivers had to really go, so he ran out of the car on the grid, and we had to reschedule the race, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But when you gotta go, you gotta go. So.
Well, we are going to go green, hopefully, in the next 10 minutes' time. Gateway is an incredibly tough track. I mean, it's a bit like Motegi, just shorter, narrower, more difficult to pass at. You got to pay attention to that right front tyre here. What do you think your chances are of converting pole position to Victory Road?
Well, I definitely have a lot of confidence starting on pole. I know we got a good car. I'm pretty happy with the long run pace we got. It's a tricky track to pass at, but the straights are relatively long here. The turns 1 and 2 are pretty quick once you get through those, and then there's a couple lines you can take through 3 and 4. So we'll see how the passing goes here. I'm hoping that I'll have a fast enough car that I won't have to worry about getting past, but we got to see how the strategies play out. You never know. You might have some comers and goers with tire strategy going on.
Tim Holgate starting this race here today on pole position for the 16th Street Racing League. We will be back as soon as we are indeed possible for full race coverage of the 16th Street Racing League from Gateway. We'll be back after these messages. You are watching RaceSpotTV. Stick with us.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 to Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. The race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big choke.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Getting set for the start here at Gateway. We'll be back after these messages. We apologise for the delay, but you are watching RaceSpotTV. Stick with us.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Gateway. As you see here, you can see the pace car working itself around the racetrack. They are going to let these cars rip in just one moment's time. We apologise for the red flag delays, not our fault. However, congratulations to Andrew Luck defeating Peyton Manning here today. $20 richer, who would have thought? But now you can see the cars working themselves through corner number 3 and 4, getting themselves ready to go racing here at Gateway. And here you can see then just behind the grandstands is Tim Holgate about to get this field underway. Pace car is in, and this round of the championship starts right now. Good start there by Tim Holgate. Cars coming down in towards turn number 1. You can see good start also by driver scored in the 2nd position, which is well, I'll take that one back. It's Matt Kingsbury in 2nd behind them. A nice little scrap going on for P3 and 4 between Crosno and Cordell. Behind them, Lichtenberg and Brandon Trost going side by side to work themselves down in towards turn number 3 and 4. We ride along board then with Brandon Trost coming out of 4. Currently scored in that 6th position. Now, the important thing about this race, Aaron, is that tyre wear is going to be a critical factor. Track position on starts and restarts is valuable as Cordell gets himself ahead of Randy Crosno.
Yeah, you got to go early here as the run continues on. The tires do fall off as Brandon Lichtenberg goes to the inside of Randy Crosno, and this track in 3 and 4 does lend itself to side-by-side racing. However, turns 1 and 2, let's see how it plays out, as Brandon Trost is also going to try to get around Crosno into turn 1. Side-by-side here in turn 1 can get so tricky, especially out of turn 1, as you can see Trost get tight, can't make the pass on Crosno. So the outside in 1 and 2, you can fend off the position trying to advance.
They're actually 3 wide for turn number 1 and 2 as well, with Joe Bryant in the mix there as well. Scored down in the 7th position on the racetrack. And you can see Joe Bryant going side by side right now with the driver who is Brandon Trost. They work themselves now. And it's very quick laps here, Rachel. But the thing is, if this race goes green, well, we're going to have ourselves a very quick race. But drivers are ready. Starting to get a little bit squirrely on the racetrack. Martin Nagel-Kirkin, as he's now running side by side. Ray Kingsbury already getting loose out of turn number 2.
He is indeed. Well, he's looking down the inside. Can't quite make it stick though. He's backed off. Going to probably try again in turns 1 and 2. Although Kingsbury himself has been looking to move forward as he now comes up behind Joe Branch. Could be a threat now to pull him away from Brandon Trost.
And out front though, we've had Matt Kingsbury go to the race lead. So he's been able to get himself ahead now of Tim Holgate. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one for you to show you what happened. But Ray Kingsbury is currently scored as your race leader, and a good start to this race then by Ray Kingsbury here today.
That'll be Matt Kingsbury actually.
Same difference. Yeah, so Aaron, we have ourselves Matt Kingsbury in the lead of this race right now.
And this is something that, you know, this has been odd. Not too many people have been able to pass Tim Holgate this year. Perhaps it was a strategic move. Maybe Kingsbury's car just runs a little bit better on the short run. Maybe Holgate's car is made for the long run. That's another thing to watch for. Some drivers are going to have issues with tire wear early in the run. Others may be able to extend their tires a little bit longer and be faster on the later run. Remember, the last oval we did, Indy, final green flag run was an amazing 140-something laps. So if we get that here, tire wear will be a major factor. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple blowouts of the right front here today.
Side by side, Lichtenberg, gun.
Just to cut you off there, well, sorry. A lap ago, we had Ray Kingsbury pushing wide behind Joe Branch, grazing the wall out of turn 2. He's looking very slow at the moment, potentially nursing some damage. Under threat from Martin Nagel-Kirkin.
Yeah, as you can see, Randy Crosno, he was going side by side with Lichtenberg. Crosno is currently scored in the 5th position. Lichtenberg scored in 4th, was able to get ahead of Randy Crosno. Brandon Trost right behind right now. Now, Aaron, the thing about this race is, because of the fact that it's a smaller field here, just 19 drivers taking the green flag for this race, we will expect a more green flag field compared to normal, and that, in these drivers' minds, has got to build into strategy. You see Holgate is already right back up to the rear of Matt Kingsbury. The question is going to be, will he pounce now, or will he just sit there, wait, and try and preserve his tyres?
Yeah, the interesting thing here, every time we mention this word, something happens, but green flag pit stops here, unique track, you got to use the warm-up lanes, and I am sure some drivers did not necessarily practice their entry. It's one thing to be on the banking, but when the cars are in complete flat surfaces, as the pit in and pit out lanes are, it's that the car really wants to snap around on you, or if you know, abruptly lift off the gas, you're going to lose the downforce and cut across the track and potentially come into traffic coming. So that's one thing to pay attention to. If we get to the green flag pit stops, this is a track that you can gain a ton of time, and Holgate is going to be on the attack here shortly.
Been having a look on board with Eric Davis. You can see just ahead of him is the driver of Terry Matinson, about half a second ahead. Rob Unglet's back about 4/10 of a second as he's scored down in the 12th position right now. And Rachel, this is going to be one of those races that drivers have to conserve everything they have, but also fuel might come into play here. You can save a lot of fuel at this racetrack if you're running in that draft, but you've got to pay attention to whether or not you can get yourself good lap times. With a lower fuel mixture setting, it can save yourself 2, maybe 3 laps around this racetrack, and that could be a very big difference maker if this race does stay green.
Well, things have separated out pretty well, Will, at the moment, so green flag is certainly looking like it's on the cards. Exactly, saving some fuel can be critical. It pushes you just beyond the normal pit window here, which means that if anyone has an issue, as we described with those pit in and out roads, and brings out a yellow flag, it means you're in a perfect opportunity then to pounce and position yourself against the other traffic. So guys will be hoping to try and save 1 or 2 laps, not be the first to pounce. I think they'll leave it as late as possible.
We're having a look on board with Ray Kingsbury. Had a little ding with the wall early on, currently running himself in the 8th position on the racetrack. That is 2 places higher than he started. Currently scored in that 8th position, and of course we've got one Kingsbury leading out front, Aaron. That is Matt Kingsbury. Ray Kingsbury started down in the mid-pack. We've got side-by-side racing just ahead of him. That is between Brandon Lichtenberg and Randy Cosno. As Kingsbury again almost dings the wall there.
Yeah, we're going to go 3 wide. Brandon Truss is going to go 3 wide to the inside. There's contact with Krosno. Krosno lifts out. Brandon Truss gets a 2-for-1 special in turn 3. Little bit of contact, and I think he's going to be back under attack as Lichtenberg's going to look to the inside in turn 1. Do they give enough room? Yes, they do. You're going to see Brandon Truss get the run off the corner using the high side, and Krosno's going to come back on the attack potentially. Wow, great racing here. 4th, 5th, 6th.
Yeah, and we'll get ourselves a replay of that one. You can see then Brandon Troy's able to get himself ahead of Lichtenberg. Lichtenberg then tries to make the move down in towards turn 1, was not able to complete the pass. However, get ourselves another look at that one. On board then with the driver of Randy Krosno, and we'll get ourselves a look
at that. We got a car in the wall. Car in the wall. Lichtenberg.
So Lichtenberg, after being involved in that 3 wide situation, we'll come back to this one. We'll see if the caution will come out. We'll let you know in just 1 moment's time, because here we are. This is Randy Krosno. Here you can see just coming down his inside. Right about now is Brandon Trost. 3 wide situation. Little bit of contact there. Brandon Trost able to go. Randy Krosno having to get all the way out of the gas as he has himself a moment. And then Brendan Lichtenberg having himself contact with the wall as well. He has scored well down at the rear of the field, Aaron. And Lichtenberg, we know he's one of the most well-rounded drivers in this series, but this is going to be huge as far as his charge for the championship goes.
A very uncharacteristic mistake there, just pushed high out of turn 2, and that's the thing with this new Indy car. We do stay green. He was able to retire his car, so no yellow. We stay green. But the thing with this car is you get this with Motegi, Indy, and here. By the time you realize your trajectory at the exit of the corner is going to put you into the wall, it is too late. He just got a little bit too far behind in the corner on the exit, car drifted out, and race over. That could have been tire wear, could have been dirty air, but nonetheless, Lichtenberg out here at Gateway.
I think that would probably more be the dirty air there, Rachel, because he was kind of, you know, in the mix of things, and I think the fact that he had Trost ahead of him coming out of turn number 2, it just seemed to be that his car, he just pushed high compared to what he'd been doing normally. Yes, tyre wear would always be a factor this stage in the race. Good avoiding reactions there by Randy Krosno, but Lichtenberg, I do think that would have to come down in part to the fact that he was, behind another driver, very close to the rear of him, and Lichtenberg is now on pit road.
Yeah, I agree, Will. We saw that earlier with Ray Kingsbury behind Joe Branch. He had a real problem with the push coming out that turn 2. As we see Joe Branch now going down the inside of Randy Krosno there going into turn 1. Yeah, it was definitely an issue with this car, especially at the higher speeds. And like Aaron said, by the time you realise it's not going to work, it's too late to do anything about it.
So we stay green then, 22 laps out of 150 scored completes here at Gateway. We'll step aside for just one moment. We're going to take you, though, side by side. Stick with us.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, then to coverage of the 16th Street Racing League. Your race leader is Matt Kingsbury, and there you can see the gap between himself and Tim Holgate. About 5/10 of a second right now as we have a look from the rear of Matt Kingsbury. But we'll actually go on board of him, because here's the thing. He's got lap traffic that's going to come up in about, I'd say, about 3-4 laps time. And Kingsbury, as soon as he gets into that, he'll get that dirty air push, Aaron. And this is one of those tracks, a bit like Milwaukee, a bit like New Hampshire, Richmond or Phoenix. Doesn't really matter whether or not you've got that race lead. It's all about how well you can negotiate traffic.
Yeah, and right now, the weight checker, he probably has it set to, well, how his car enjoys the clean air. He's going to have to prepare for that dirty air. If he doesn't stay ahead of that adjustment, he may conk the walls we see Lichtenberg did, or perhaps that will allow Tim Holgate to possibly get around. So as, well, Tim Miller's going to get out of the way, so that equation quickly went away. So a very sporting move there, but in maybe a dozen laps or so, we'll have two cars come into play with Benjamin Gregory and let's see, that would be Brian Karzeski. So we will have some lap traffic come in about a dozen laps, and one car is not that bad, especially when they move over. You get two cars with dirty air, and we'll see which car between Kingsbury and Holgate. Holgate's car seems to be really steady in the dirty air, but we don't know what Kingsbury's car will do.
Just ahead, we've got Randy Krosno, Joe Branch still battling for position. And Rachel, you alluded to this. So we've got our first caution of the day then. And we've got a car turnaround. It is Brendan Lichtenberg, who has come back out onto the racetrack. Well, there you can see, in fact, I believe it might be Austin Espartee as well. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one then. But our first caution of the day. And Rachel, that is perfectly timed for these guys for making themselves some pit stops.
Yes, it is. We're just heading towards our first pit window, Will. So really good timing for these guys. Probably what they would have liked, and early enough that no one's jumped yet. So we're going to pretty much reset this grid. Go Racing, everybody should be coming in fresh tyres and Snooker race fuel.
Yep, so here we can see then, having a look at Austin Espartee. We believe the caution was because of him as he works himself. Let's have a look then through turn number 1 and 2. Coming out the corner, hitting the wall in the exit of turn 2, slowing that car down. That brings out our first caution of the day here at Gateway. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a look as the drivers come on towards pit road. And here you can see Matt Kingsbury is going to lead those drivers in for the first round of pit stops of the day. We're green all the way until now. The first 28 laps of this race was green. So we have a look then from the rear of Matt Kingsbury as he brings these drivers on towards pit road. And the thing is, Aaron, no one came in under green flag situation. So this is going to be a dash, and this is going to be the best chance for Tim Holgate to try and leapfrog Kingsbury as far as track position goes.
Absolutely, and so we may see somebody, track position here is very important, so we may see somebody mid-pack maybe not take as much fuel as needed, although they probably can change the tires in the amount of time that fuel is needed, but expect this restart to be very intense. Let's see, between Kingsbury and Holgate, who gets out first?
Well, there you can see that
Here
it's going to be
comes
Kingsbury, Trost as well, 3 wide there, as they work themselves onto the racetrack once again. It is going to be Kingsbury who comes out first, Trost second, and then Cordell in third, and Tim Holgate's going to be fourth by the looks of it there, Aaron.
Was there contact on the exit between Trost and Vic? Very close there. I don't think, wow, I don't think these drivers realized they were still under yellow as they were still racing after the cones. Very lucky Trost and Caudell did not make contact there.
Yeah, it was mighty close between those two drivers, and probably closer than they would have wanted to have happened. But still under green here, sorry, still under caution here at Gateway. We'll be right back after these messages. You are watching RaceSpotTV. Stick with us.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the pace car about to make that journey down on towards pit road. Matt Kingsbury bringing the field back to the green flag here. Vic Cordell second. Brandon Trace third. Tim Holgate fourth. Ray Kingsbury in the top five. Green flag back in the air. And already, Trace, a very good restart by him. In fact, one of the best restarts we've seen all season long, Rachel. He's looking down to the inside of Cordell as they come through turn 1 and 2. And looks as though that Trace is going to make that pass.
He is indeed, and Tim Holgate is taking advantage. We've got contact already between Vic Cordell and Brandon Trost there. Cordell perhaps not too happy being held up there and allowing Holgate through. So yeah, a bit of contact from those two, but Holgate is still sniffing at this one. Perhaps lost that speed advantage now. Cordell's up to speed, but he's coming to the inside to have a look at Trost. Yeah, this is a pretty exciting restart, Will.
Very good restart, but out front, the issue is that Kingsbury's been able to dance away here and already almost a second advantage over Trost. And now Cordell looking back down to the inside, so they work themselves down in towards 3 and 4.
Yeah, as Vic goes to the inside, Brandon gives just enough room, and only just. That's going to allow Holgate now to come to the inside. We know Holgate has been running second all race, but can't do anything. No changes in position that lap, and I have to wonder, well, as fast as Brandon's pit stop was, did he take less fuel? Because that was an amazingly fast pit stop.
It was. It really was indeed. And you can see, I think maybe Holgate, I mean, track position for Holgate is not going to, I think, be as important as some of these other drivers. He knows he can work his way methodically for the field if needs be. I think he might have taken just a little bit more fuel. There you can see him then, as he's actually under pressure right now from Ray Kingsbury as they come down in towards turn number 1 and 2. There we can see from the rear of him, well, the gap between himself and Ray Kingsbury is about 0.3 of a second. Behind, very close once again, Rachel, our first caution of the day. Now, this is the chance, really, for drivers again to reset themselves, but they've got to work on resetting their things like their brake bias, resetting things like their weight jacket, their anti-roll bars, getting themselves back into a green flag center field. Oh, we've got another caution out here.
We got a big mess on the straightaway.
Yeah, and it's Benjamin Gregory involved in that one. So there you can see Benjamin Gregory is there in the mix. Get ourselves a replay of that one for you. Go on, Aaron.
Incident looks like Mattinson and Benjamin Gregory did start it, and I wonder if Benjamin Gregory just got on the curb a little bit, unsettled the car, and this track, things happen so fast that if you have to lift out of the gas, the car behind you really has no time to react. And unfortunately for Brian Krzeski, a complete innocent bystander there, but that's going to eliminate 3 cars from competition.
Well, I think it was all really because of Benjamin Gregory losing it by himself on the exit of turns number 3 and 4. Get ourselves another replay of that one then from our aerial coverage powered today by iRaceForLife.org. Coming out of turn number 3 and 4, here you can see Benjamin Gregory. I think that was all by himself, Rachel, and then I think Terry Mattinson was thinking about looking down to his inside. In the wrong place at the wrong time, they say you had Brian Krzeski involved in that mix as well.
Yeah, unfortunate situation there for those guys, and I think definitely Gregory getting a little loose on the corner. Not sure he took tyres on that stop, but we have, Gregory's suggesting netcode was involved. It could be a factor, but it would be quite a stretch to suggest that.
And, well, I believe Tim Holgate has had a mechanical issue, so big championship implications there as Holgate off the racetrack.
Yeah, and also we've got ourselves a little bit of a split strategy here, as some drivers coming onto pit road, some drivers staying on the racetrack. Here you can see Randy Crosney coming on towards pit road. He's going to get himself topped up with fuel, some new fresh tyres as well. Now this is going to be an interesting one, because you've got yourself Crosney, Nagel Kirkin, Davis, DeYoung, Jinx and Miller all scored on pit road here, Aaron. Now this is going to make things very exciting, because those couple of laps of fuel could be very, very important for the remaining stages of today's race.
Oh, I applaud that strategy. He is only going to he only lost maybe 3 positions by pitting there. I applaud that strategy. I definitely like it. Those 3 or 4 laps, well, we saw at Indy, Brandon Trost maybe had to dial back the fuel, which caused him to lose the 500. So I really like the split strategy. We're losing cars rather quickly now. So yeah, I really like this strategy, and we'll see if it pays off. Really, if you're only going to lose 2 or 3 spots, coming in topping off, not a bad idea.
We'll talk about that one more in a moment. We're going to step aside again. We're going to go side by side. Stick with us.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun, but there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 to Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps.
Oh,
as you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big choke.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to Gateway, and Matt Kingsbury is going to bring the field back to the green flag, a split strategy. We'll talk about that one in just 1 moment's time, but here you can see it's going to be Kingsbury from Trost from Cordell, from Kingsbury from Branch, and Underlings, Cosno, Davis, Nagel, Kirkin, and Young rounding out your top 10. Having a look from the rear then of Matt Kingsbury, you can see already he's bolting. Green flag back in the air as the car stormed back down towards turn number 1. 42 laps of this race scored complete, Aaron. Behind, you can see yourself already side-by-side action with Cordell and Ray Kingsbury going side-by-side. But this is a critical stage of this race. Oh, Cordell spinning around there. He will stay off the racetrack by the looks of it. But Vic Cordell is out of the race.
Yeah, very odd there. He did have Kingsbury come up. There was no contact, and I think he just had to alter his driving line and just lost the rear end of that car.
Yeah, there you can see then down in towards turn number 2. Vic Cordell out of the race. We stay green for the time being. Vic Cordell is out. We Ruddle on board with Joe Branch in the number 28 machine as he's currently scored in the 5th position. Now, Rachel, split strategy here going on. Some of these drivers at the rear of the field, a couple of laps of fuel can make a big difference at Gateway.
Yeah, it can well. Of course, if you're running lower fuel modes, of course, that means you can save quite a bit. It also means the corners are a little easier on your tyres because you're going through at slightly lower speeds. All of it can help us in later strategies in this race, and it might well play in. If we have a couple more cautions, could really benefit them. If it goes green now, that's perhaps not going to be what they want.
Well, we are down to just 13 drivers scored running on the racetrack. Tim Holgate, we'll come back to him in a moment. He had some technical issues. He's now scored 4 laps down. We have got ourselves Benjamin Gregory here in the RaceSpotTV booth. And Ben, well, it looks as though your race is not the way you would have wanted it to be. Out, classified down in the 15th position. Take us through what happened. Speechless there from Benjamin Gregory, so we'll come back to him a little bit later on. Out front, however, we have got ourselves, you can see, running on board with Brandon Trost. The gap between himself and Matt Kingsbury for the race lead is about 6 tenths of a second. So work themselves down the back straight away, down towards turn number 3 and 4 once again. And I have to say, Aaron, good driving here today by both Matt Kingsbury and Brandon Trost. Kingsbury making himself a nice pass in the early going to get himself that track position. Brandon Trost, we saw him at Indianapolis. And Trost, I do have to say, is a new driver in the last couple of months.
Yeah, definitely. You're right there. And watching Kingsbury before that yellow on Trost, Kingsbury was running much slower, so some strategy going on there, because on that restart we had that intense battle between Holgate, Trost, and the third driver has slipped my mind. Yellow.
Yeah, so we're back to yellow flag, and it's Randy Crosno who's turned around there. You can see him there on pit road, and well, it's not the day for AOX Racing. We had Vic Cordell out just a couple of moments ago. We'll get a look then on board with Randy Crosno. As is this going to be exactly the same? You see 2 Wide Racing actually just ahead of him, coming down through turns number 1 and 2. And then Randy Crosno coming out of turn number 2 is okay, but then it's going to be turn number 3 and 4 for him, Aaron.
Yes, it's going to be 3 and 4. And don't know if maybe he was behind on the weight jacker, but just lost the rear.
Yeah, and there you can see then on the exit of the corner, and he actually collects one of his own teammates, Eric Davis, there in the process. That is horrible for him.
I don't think he does, Will, actually, because I think that's a very, very, very lucky escape there for Eric Davis, the sister team, of course, of AeroX, Banshee Autosport. Davis seemingly gets away with that one unscathed.
We'll have a look. He does just about get away with that one there. The number 65 machine of Eric Davis. Well, he lives to fight another day, just about. But we're about our third caution of the day. Now, as far as strategy goes, critical part of the race now, Aaron.
Yeah, critical spot, and we do have pit stops. Holgate's going to get a lap back. If odd things happen, he'll get the wave around and be 3 laps down, so miracles can happen. But we got contact. Trost and Kingsbury make contact on pit road as Trost is making a pass. Interesting.
Yeah, we'll get ourselves another look at this one then, because this is a little bit interesting. As we have a look at Brandon Trost coming on towards pit road, and here you can see then, we'll have a look at Brandon Trost. We'll stick it with this cycle of pit stops, and here you can see, slight side rubbing there. Matt Kingsbury's worked themselves on towards pit road. Now, well, once you're onto pit road, you can pass. It's not the same as what you're doing on the racetrack. You can't, of course, pass on the racetrack under caution, but Brandon Trost coming on towards pit road. A little bit aggressive there by Brandon Trost, but we'll keep an eye out to see who comes out of pit road first. And it is actually Trost ahead of Kingsbury, Ray Kingsbury, Matt Kingsbury third in line. So Ray Kingsbury moves up a position or two. Matt Kingsbury falls on the field, Aaron.
Yeah, interesting that Trost was able to do that and not get caught for speeding. We saw Niles Anders at Indy try that same type of strategy, and he did get dinged with a 15-second penalty, but Brandon Trost able to make it work there. So, wow, in the future, are we going to have to start seeing drivers blocking down pit road? What a pass in a most unexpected place.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, under caution here at Gateway. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Gateway, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, 3 drivers staying out. Rob Ungerlinks, Mikael de Jong, and Martin Nagel-Kirken. Those lights are off on top of the iRacing.com safety car. Here you can see your new race leader is Rob Ungerlinks. Now, this is a risky strategy here, Rachel. And what it's going to mean is we've got 3 drivers at the front of the field on old tyres. We've also got there in the mix Tim Holgate trying to get himself laps back right now. 4 drivers essentially ahead of this driver, Brandon Trost, who led the field out of pit road. This could be a very crazy 5 laps.
Oh, it will be indeed, Will. Of course, very old tyres for those front few cars. That will be a factor. They'll be slower off the line. Trost and Kingsbury already seen some aggressive mind games in pit road. They could come to blows here, being a little bit further back than they were. Biggest one, though, is definitely going to be, of course, Tim Holgate. He wants that lap back. If he can get ahead, though, of Rob Ungerlinks, which should be possible for him, and it could well be a caution pretty soon after that, he could be in a perfect position to gain that lap back and possibly one more.
You've got to be careful, of course. You can pass on the outside, you can't pass on the inside. Going to do this restart then. On board with Brandon Trost. It's going to be an exciting one. Pace car is in. Green flag back in the end. Brandon Trost got to be careful here. He may well get himself a penalty, and he has to slow down because of it. We have a look from the rear of him, and you can see he's already looking down to the inside. We've got a big stack up behind him as we go back on board with Brandon Trace. He's got himself past one of those drivers. That is Martin Kirk, and they're side by side still to work himself down the back straight away. But very slow start. The two Kingsburys going side by side to work themselves down into turn 3 and 4, Aaron.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury did not get the start, and Brand Truss makes contact in front of him. Nagel Kirkin, an amazing save. You don't often see an IndyCar drift out of turn 4 and stay straight. I have no idea how he's kept that.
Oh, it's the lead.
We got
what a save by Nagel Kirkin, but that restart, Ray Kingsbury did not get going. Matt Kingsbury went to the outside, and I don't think Matt Kingsbury was aware that you can pass on the outside, so Matt Kingsbury lifted way out of the gas. He could have kept going and did not.
Rob Unglinks leads the way still. However, Rachel, importantly, Tim Holgate has been able to get himself ahead of Unglinks right now, so therefore if the caution does come out, he will get one of his laps back.
He does, and this being so soon after he has actually pitted, he could well actually get 2 laps back if he takes the wave round. Being the leader, of course, he'll be in prime position, should he stay, to get another wave. So
we got contact. We got a car just barely staying out of the wall. Sorry to interrupt you there, but Ray Kingsbury had contact with Nagel Kirkin in 3 and 4, drifting up to the wall. I thought we were going to go yellow. Somehow we stayed green.
He's already got a bit of damage though on that car, so this could be a little bit more. This could be enough to put him round.
Let's get ourselves a look at that one then. Here on board with Martin Nagel Kirkin. There you can see the contact. Ray Kingsbury brushing up high. He does just about miss the wall. But Martin Nagel Kirkin, well, he's been involved in 2 incidents in as many laps. He is still scored in the 5th position. These battles are for track position, Aaron. 2 different strategies going on right now. And then, he's got a contact behind as well. Dave Jinks, 3 cars involved. Caution is back out.
Before though, Will, before we actually lost that, had that caution, we already lost Matt Kingsbury.
Ray Kingsbury just, I don't really know how to put this, but he just slammed the brakes in turn 1.
We'll get ourselves another look at this one then, and a little bit of frustration coming into play at Gateway. It's a track that does it oh so often. We're having a look then at Dave Jinks, as you can see. Caution came out on the front straightaway for these drivers, and here you can see as they work themselves down in towards turn number 1. We'll have a look, and here you can see then, oh well, yeah, that really was Ray Kingsbury. It does look as though he slammed on the brakes there. We're going to have to get ourselves another look at that one, and we'll do this methodically here, Aaron. We'll have a look from the rear of Ray Kingsbury, and we'll just slow it down to see, because it does look as though he either had an issue or he did actually just slam on the brakes.
Yeah, we did lose Matt Kingsbury, so if they're at the same place, perhaps internet droppage, perhaps, and that's why Ray Kingsbury just came to abrupt stop. A Matt Kingsbury car just vanished, so if they are at the same place, perhaps there was an issue there, but if not, if he did just slam the brakes there, he just ruined several others' drivers' races, and I think the race stewards afterwards, if that is the case, if the brakes were applied, are going to have to take firm action on that.
Ray Kingsbury has actually been removed from the race by race control. The stewards have actually retired that car. Now, I just to give a different perspective, and of course stepping beyond the fourth wall of the commentator here, this is internet racing, and in this case, unfortunately, when Matt Kingsbury vanished, there's always the opportunity that they could reappear, and you don't know. So you could say that maybe Ray lifted off in case that was going to happen, but we don't know. Of course, but them both being potentially at the same place, yeah, it could well have been an issue.
We have got pit stops, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll check those out. And of course, another controversial moment here. And well, we all know back in the 2013 Indianapolis 500 here on, well, it was on PSR TV actually. And Aaron, you and I know this one very well. Alexia Loma, 3 laps to go, and it was, you know, we will talk about the fact this is online racing. We had that one back at IMS. Alexia Loma losing the race in the last couple of laps. But at the same time, I'm not quite sure why we'd slam the brakes like that.
I guess maybe he got frustrated. He got a horrible restart. He had contact with Nagel Kirkin, so I don't know. Maybe he frustrated, wanted to quit, and wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. just a bizarre incident. I would like to say it was accidental, something broke, but if that wasn't the case, yes, it's internet racing. Yes, nobody gets hurt, but this is a simulator. The drivers are expected to handle themselves and their cars in the way you would their real-life counterparts.
Well, he did just actually, let me stop you right there. He did actually hit the wall on the exit of turn number 3 and 4. We're just showing it on the replay right about now. So he did hit the wall on the exit of 3 and 4 a lap beforehand. We're not quite sure what damage it had. We'll get ourselves another look at that one then. And here you can see Eric Davis and Dave Jenks right behind him. The thing is, Sir Aaron, there are 2 innocent drivers now. Dave Jenks, who I have to say is a true fighter in this series. I see him week in, week out, and he just does so much. Racing week in, week out. He's not always in a podium position. And also Eric Davis as well. 2 innocent drivers there whose races have been ruined.
Yeah, he did hit the brakes, and even if he had damage, he could have gone all the way to the inside and taken the pit exit road, and not, tested how fast the IndyCar can stop going into turn 1.
He did seem to definitely brake because there was a little bit of smoke from the tyres. The tyres definitely slowed down moving in the high-speed replay. But more importantly, he pulled in front of the other car going into that corner. He pulled down from his higher line, which is the preferred line to enter the corner, and he just pulls down and then brakes. So potentially deliberate move there, possibly.
It is our job to report the facts, of course. Joe Branch, as a fact, is called as your race leader.
And, well, interesting, Brandon Trost pitted a lap after the pits were open, so figuring there aren't many cars left, he came in. That gives Joe Branch the lead, and I think we only have 7 cars running.
Yeah, we are. So it's a small field for the restart. Back to Green Flag Racing. 63 laps of this race scored complete. Joe Branch is your leader. Rob Unglings in second. Mikel de Jong in third. Martin Egelkirk in fourth. Tim Miller rounding out your top 5. Then you've got Brandon Trost. Tim Holgate has scored multiple laps down right now. This race, well, you can see already Rob Unglings looking down to the inside of Joe Branch, and he will complete that pass. No, he won't. From 3 and 4, it's going to be side by side as they got themselves out the corner. Rattle on board with Joe Branch then. But here you can see he's got himself Rob Unglings right behind him. He's going to look back down to the inside through 1 and 2, Aaron.
Yes, with the attrition factor, this has put some drivers that, a win would be absolutely huge. So maybe a depleted field, maybe some different names up front, but I expect this fight to be very strong. Anytime you get a podium in the 16th Street League, it is major. But for Joe Branch, Rob Unglings, and Michel de Jong, right now all 3 of them have a chance at this victory. Long way to go, though. Can't believe we're only on lap 66.
And the important thing for that one is, of course, Rachel, that the points here at a race like this will be critical for top 25 position. We know that will be important for the next season of the 16th Street Racing League, as they can then avoid running in the transfer races to get themselves into the event. It's a little bit of a stretch of release, as you're having a look now on board of Mikel de Jong as he works himself through turn 1 and 2.
Well, it's not to say that it's I don't want to put this in a bad way, but quite a number of these drivers who are now in top positions are potentially usually mid-pack drivers, so this is really good for them. They're getting some much needed points, and some very big names like the likes of Cordell, the likes of Mathinson, Kingsbury's, Krosno are losing points here. So this is a much bigger impact on the actual championship than a lot of people might expect. So good finishes here could help elevate your chances further forward to tracks where you really have an advantage.
Running on board with Brandon Trost in the number 66 car, as he's got the 820 machine, the OMR sim racing car of Martin Egelkirk just ahead. Now Trost, I think if he can get past Egelkirk, he's in a good position. The issue for Trost is, however, if he can't get past in the next 3 or 4 laps, he's actually got a very fast Tim Holgate right behind him, Aaron, then actually this is going to really hurt his chassis, because he'll lose the sheen on those tyres very quickly.
Yeah, I think Trost is, I think he's dialed the fuel way back. I think he's on a different strategy, and I think, which I think right now might not be the best time to go into fuel conservation mode, but...
I disagree. You always start early. If you know this race is going to have a green flag
true.
feel to it, you start as early as possible. As here you can see, actually, Tim Holgate thinking about looking down to the inside. Trost gives him the position there. If you're going to do it, you start as early as possible. That way, you can actually make the strategy work compared to what would happen if you were going to be in a situation where you try and do it with 20 laps to go.
Yes, but he's had the fastest car all day, and he's losing. He's losing about 0.4 of a second a lap, over 100 laps. If he does, I don't know. I think he might be reversing what he did at Indy a little bit too much. He's had the fastest car by far. I think he could take this lead if he wanted, and I don't know, unless he absolutely can do one less pit stop. I don't know.
Well, here you can see Joe Bryant, Rob Ungling's gap between those two drivers is about 0.6 of a second, battle for the race lead. Getting ourselves close to halfway distance here at Gateway. We'll step aside. We're going to take you, ladies and gentlemen, side by side. Stick with us.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here you can see driver running himself in the 5th position is Brandon Trace. Now, Trost was involved earlier on, Rachel, in an incident with Randy Crosslow. He did get himself a bit of damage. I think that partially might have something to do with why he's on this alternate strategy right now. And we'll have a look. They can see the gap to lead. He's 5.5 seconds back. He has been saving fuel. And he's a little bit loose, actually, at turn number 2 as well.
Yeah, of course. Once you've had something go wrong with the car, it's almost necessary to change your strategy. And that screws your entire race because you've been expecting one thing and you suddenly have to get on the back foot and do something else. Could well be that he is going to an alternate strategy because, again, lower fuel mode, slightly easier in the corners. If that damage is having some sort of effect, but it could also be psychological. Once you've had one wobble in a corner, you're never quite ready to take the same corner in the exact same way because you expect it to happen again. So being overly sensitive can actually cause the car to get even more loose, especially with this Indy car. Again, that could have forced him into an alternate fuel strategy. It's all really up for grabs. It's going to be a tough one for him to go any further, but of course, one of the fastest cars, unless he can get that speed back in, doesn't look like much damage on the bodywork, so I think the damage might be in his mind rather than on the track.
Well, Aaron, we have got ourselves a bit of a depleted field. This reminds me actually of about 2009 Richmond. The way that race panned out with the caution and people being trapped to lap down. Similar situation here. And for the likes of Brandt, Unglings, De Jong, Nagel Kirken and Trost, the key thing is finish this race. That is more important than anything else. We talked about it earlier on. Point at stake here. Finish the race. That's the most important thing. Go on.
Yeah, if we have a couple more yellows, if you finish this race, you're guaranteed a top 5. So finishing right now, very important. And biggest break here today is going to be Holgate. Had technical issues, got back in the race. He is 3 laps down, but running 7th place. So for Holgate, what could have been a devastating point day, catches a lucky break, which is a complete contrast to last year, where Holgate would have 95% great races, and that final 5% of the race, I think about Milwaukee, where he got caught up with Matt Cook, Barber, final few laps, so a complete reverse of fortune this year for Tim Holgate.
Having a look from the rear of Joe Brandt, he's got himself a 2.5 second advantage over Rob Unglings. He's pulling away lap by lap as well. We are going to try and get ourselves a word now with Benjamin Gregory. Ben, are you there?
Yes.
Well, your race really didn't go to plan at all today. Take us through what happened.
Reasonable start. Got to the first caution, jumped a few people in the pits, which I was quite happy with as well. And yeah, I believe what happened was I just got a netcode tap from the rear from Terry, and it just turned me around and put me into him. It just happens really.
With a small field here today and high attrition, you've got to be disappointed. Of course, to go back to the road course in 1 week's time. What's your thoughts now as we get into the final third really now of the season?
Well, this is actually my first race. I finally joined in after much deliberation. I was quite happy to really try and run around at the back, but I wanted to try and do it as best I could. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the road courses, definitely. Something I actually really enjoy in this car.
And there you can see Benjamin Gregory, a slow position for him here today. Unfortunately, he'll be classified in the 15th spot on the racetrack. You can see Joe Brandt now has got that gap up to 3.6 seconds, Rachel. He really is pushing it right now. Of course, though, he's got his own teammate, Tim Holgate, just closing up behind him, wanting to get himself another lap back.
Yes, indeed, Will, and it could well be that Robin Links and Michael De Jong are all going into a fuel-saving strategy now. With so few cars on this racetrack, it's wise to do so, because chances of cautions, of course, have gotten much lower. You've got a car like Joe Brandt. He's pretty quick, but he's obviously running on that fuel. As we see now, of course, Tim Holgate, has gone past Joe Brandt, so if a caution does fly, that is a lap back for him, which will put him 1 lap down. But as things stand, yeah, if I was Rob Underlinks or if I was Michael De Jong, I'd be going to a fuel saving mode now. I'd try and eke out a few extra laps, throw myself off the pit cycle. Even if I don't save a pit stop, I'm saving a few extra laps of fuel weight at the end when it's most critical. So yeah, the only way, if you can't catch him in speed, catch him in the pits.
You can see Martin Nagel-Kirken running himself in the 4th position right now. He is actually catching up to the rear of Mikel de Jong at about half a tenth of a second a lap. And here's the gap, Aaron, between those two drivers. It's about 7 tenths of a second. The issue for Michael Kirkin, however, is he's now into that dirty air, so he's got to be very careful with the way he approaches the next 10-15 laps.
Indeed, and going back to pit stops, going to be interesting because this is one of the few tracks, a lot of tracks we go to, you really can't, you can only lose time. This is the type of track that if you nail your entry, you know, a 2-second lead is not safe. Right now the lead is 2.3 seconds. Rob Ungelnieks could easily, if you nail it, you can gain that much time here. At Indy we talk about losing speed, but this is one of the tracks because how much driver it takes to utilize the apron, essentially, or the pit access road, which has no tilt whatsoever. 2.3 seconds. Any of these drivers in the top 4 now, as Nell Kirkin is closing in, but in the dirty air, as you mentioned, any of these drivers can take the lead with a majorly good pit stop.
I do think, though, Rachel, de Jong's tyres are shot. Michael Kirkin is catching him quickly. The way this race is, just under 50 laps to go, it could be like the World Championship Grand Prix series. If you pit early, you very easily can come back out, get yourself the momentum, get yourself track position, then fight for your life at the very end. If I was any one of these drivers, get yourself to that window, come into pit road as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, well, we know de Jong, of course, he stayed out for a few of these cautions, so his tyres are a little bit older than everybody else's. And yeah, if he comes in a bit early, if he gets a couple of really good laps in clean air, he can actually jump some of these guys in the pit cycle. As we said earlier, pit stops are important, but if he can get that gap, that will be important.
So, your top 5, ladies and gentlemen, as it stands right now, it is Joe
Leaders
Branch.
diving for pit road.
As he comes on towards pit road, there you can see Joe Branch coming in. There you can see that warm-up lane. We'll have a look at the speed as well, coming down. Oh, it's going to be close. He does hit the marker there, so that's very lucky for him, actually, as Joe Branch is going to make himself that pit entry. This is, in my opinion, actually, Aaron, more difficult than Homestead to get onto pit road.
Oh yes, and Joe Branch took a very conservative entry there, so if Ungelnieks can go a little bit faster, I believe Joe Branch was only doing about 90 on the flat. I believe you can go faster. Joe Branch, perfect stoppage into this pit. First time we've been pitting under green, so you can easily skid past or pit short of your stop. Joe Branch down and away, and we'll have to see how it plays out. We do have 5 drivers that can win this race, so depleted field, but still interesting storylines going on.
9.4 second stop, and it's a 41.4 second stop. 41.4 second in lap, Rachel. We'll bear that one in mind. Go ahead.
Ungelnieks in.
Yeah. I was just gotta say though, you might have taken a conservative line in and out of pit road. As we mentioned, it can be critical to your stop, but with it being so flat, it's also very easy to throw it away by going a little too fast. So sometimes it's better to give a second than lose 10.
Yep, as we'll have a look at Ungelnieks' pit in time then, as he comes on towards pit road as well. A 40.7. Now, that is critical, and he actually... Oh, he overshoots his pit stop! All of that hard work he's just done, being much faster on pit road, has just been completely undone by him. Out and away, 8.1 seconds. Joe Branch will go back ahead of him. For Ungelnieks, that really is his race sold here now.
But we still, let's see, yeah, that stop, you do that 1 second, and he would be right on the rear wing of Joe Branch, so, I mentioned first green flag pit stop, it is easy to make that mistake. We will have 3 more people now that do have to make green flag pit stops. Brand Trost can go longer than anybody, but Martin Nagel-Kirkin and Michel de Jong should be coming in relatively shortly.
Soon. And the thing is as well, Aaron, for these drivers who are staying out longer, their lap times have dramatically slowed the last couple of laps, and it was a good indication. Nagel-Kirkin on towards pit road, but Mikel de Jong, he does himself a 26.3 lap last time by. Joe Branch a 25.7. Big difference.
And Nagel-Kirkin absolutely nailed that entry. His slowest speed was 110 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour faster than Ungelnieks and Branch. So Nagel-Kirkin, I think this is going to be an incredible in-lap time. Yep. 39.2.
That's incredible there for Martin Nagel-Kirkin, and that is 2 seconds faster than what Joe Branch can do, as he's now into his stall as well. There you can see him getting himself, and track position in these situations is so important. But Rachel, the thing is, these drivers coming in earlier, yes, they'll get the early advantage, but their tyres will go off a little bit earlier as well. It's that balancing act. Which one do you want to do? Go as long as possible, make your pit stop shorter, Or do you want the track position and then fight it off at the very end of the race?
Well, I think track position is important, but of course, says tyre life. You can't fight if you've got nothing left to fight with. It's risky from Nagelkirchen though, when he's pit in, but again, as I mentioned with the giving a second to save you from 10, that's exactly what happened to Rob Underlings. He just overshot his box, and if he'd have a little bit more patient, give it a few more miles an hour, he might have made it into that box and saved himself some time. But against the concept of Trost obviously going slower, saving fuel, could be a good strategy because, as I said, saving fuel, you're going slower, you're being kinder to the tyres, so he can go longer, he won't be giving up as much on the rubber, so if he has to push it, he probably still can.
Michel De Jong will in very conservative, a 41.5, but again, he's not going to lose time, but I think he may, Mark de Nagelkirchen is going to make the pass there.
Yeah, but so you can see it was an 8.7 second stop, and Nagelkirchen is actually about a second ahead there, so De Jong getting passed by Martin Nagelkirchen. There we are, still a little bit late here, I'm sorry. But Brandon Trost continues to lead the way. He should be on pit road before too long as he continues to lead here. In the 16th Street Racing League at Gateway, does he come on towards pit road this time by? Well, the answer to that question is going to be no. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, he does. So he will come on towards pit road this time by. So Brandon Trost relinquishes the lead, 107 laps out of 150 scored complete. We'll get a look then, as you can see, easily down. A bit conservative there again for Brandon Trost. We'll get a look at his time as he comes on towards pit road. We'll get an idea of what pit in lap he has. It's not going to be too important for Trost. 39.3, best of the day there, Aaron.
Yeah, he had a very late entry and amazing speed there. It didn't look all that spectacular, but the average speed around the corner, he didn't have the fastest speed, but he did have the fastest average speed through the corner, and he is down and away. And let's see where he plays out on the grid.
Well, an 8.8 second stop as he comes back out onto the racetrack. He will have Martin Nagelkirchen just coming past him right about now, and you see Nagelkirchen goes past. De Jong going to work himself on the high side there as they come down into 3 and 4, so Brandon Trost will fall down into the 5th position as it stands. So it's currently Branch from Underlings, from Nagelkirchen, from De Jong, from Trost. We'll step aside. We'll be back after these messages. You are watching RaceSpotTV. Let's take you side by side.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you
Brad
love it.
Davies, here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump for first place.
Well, back live here at Gateway. You didn't miss anything there because we were side by side here at Gateway, but got ourselves a nice little battle going on, Aaron, for P number 4 and 5 on the racetrack. That one is between Mikel de Jong and Brandon Trost. We're riding on board with Brandon Trost right now.
And there is more to this battle than meets the eye. We've been looking at the fuel numbers, and we are unsure if the top 4 can make it. Remember, Brandon Trost pitted about 6, 7, 8 laps later than the people in front of him. So the fuel window here, Joe Branch pitted at around 96 to 98, somewhere in that window. Not exactly sure, but that was about the time frame that he pitted. Can he go 54 laps? That is the question. Brandon Trost went 6 laps later. I think he is good to go. If the cars in front of him are not, they're going to have to dial way back. Now, Brandon Trost is running almost a half second slower than what I know his car can run. And so I think he is stretching the fuel. He may have learned something from his run at Indy. So I think he may have it. If the cars in front have to pit, Brandon Trost can dial it even further back and run 1-2 seconds slower than what he's currently running.
By learning something from Indy, you do mean not hitting the wall, don't you?
Yes, that, and well, yeah, of course that was the lap 199 where Trost hit the wall and toasted his race, but he did have to dial back on fuel, and Holgate was catching him, which may have led to that unforced error.
And even more importantly, Aaron, he finally got it in as well.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for that one, ladies and gentlemen. But Rachel, for these top 5 drivers, you know, we have a look at Brandon Trost right now, and here's the gap to the lead. He's 8.2 seconds back. If one of these drivers runs out of these fuels, one of these drivers tries to go onto an alternate fuel strategy, there is still a lot that can happen. And the thing is, Ungerlings is actually catching up Joe Branch right now. Haven't got the last lap time, so you can see 26.1 last time by for Ungerlings, 1/7 of a second back. But these drivers are struggling right now. We saw it from Ungerlings having to lift off on the exit of turn number 2.
Yes, indeed, and I think the key thing about this is that Brandon Trost, even though he's running behind de Jong at the moment, that draft is helping him and allowing him to run slower than he even needs to now, so he's saving even more fuel. Lower fuel mode plus lifting off in the draft, really good for him. Other guys with their worn tyres, though, they're starting to be a factor. They're losing time specifically because they're actually running higher fuel modes, are running faster. Where's their tyres faster? So they start using more weight jacker, of course. That really has a big impact, as really slowing to death for de Jong, bringing Trost right behind him. But we see Trost, he lifts, he stays behind him. Definitely a strategy call there for Brandon Trost.
Yeah, we're riding on board with Joe Branch, and the thing is, he's got traffic now coming into play as well. That's going to harm him a little bit, Aaron.
Yes, it is. That is Tim Miller. Last time we saw Tim Miller get lapped, he went way high in turns 3 and 4, so we'll have to see that. But going back to Brandon Trost, as Tim Miller, yes, does let Joe Branch by, as Rob Ungellink's coming into the pits very early.
Well, actually, this could be a strategy call by him, because we know how fast he can be. If you know you've got to pit, Rachel, have the freshest tyres for as long as possible. And we know that these drivers are losing a lot of time. They can do 25-second laps. And we just get an eye, by the way, very quickly, on Rob Ungerlings as he comes onto pit road. His pit in time, it was a 39.8, so good in lap there for Ungerlings. But Rachel, have the freshest tyres for as long as possible. That could be the way to go to victory lane here today.
It could indeed. Well, of course, having those fresh tyres, it will make a big difference, especially in the first couple of laps before other people start pitting. If you can eat up some of that time they're going to gain, you really have an advantage. But I don't know, it's going to be really critical to see what happens. I think this fuel window might be shorter than we thought, and it could mean that Trost has to come in, but it does also mean that Trost, if he does have to stop, will certainly have the shortest pit time, taking less fuel, and the freshest tyres. So, light car, less time in the pits, good tyres, it could well be a good thing for Trost.
The only bad thing, you're going to say exactly the same thing, so you say it, not me.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ungelninks, he came out in the dirty air, although I think he's going to have a major run here, and he's going to look to the inside, and he's going to make short work Michel de Jong there. So, not as... Maybe not this one lap. He probably lost 2-3 of a second there. It could come down to that. And if Brandon Trost has to pit, I really like Ungelnink's strategy. He is 0.2 of a second faster that lap than Joe Branch. So for Joe Branch, watching his times, he has picked his speed up. He was running 26.2s, 0.3s. He is now down to 26.0. So he knows Ungelnink sort of has forced Joe Branch's hand now. So he can't really fuel save.
And for Brandon Trost, it looks like it might be go time for him, as he was very close to the rear there on Mikel de Jong in the battle for the race lead. And also for Joe Branch, I'm a little bit surprised why he didn't try and go onto pit road to respond immediately to him. So there's one thing that we're not quite sure. Very quickly, whilst we've got the opportunity, of course, Aaron, we are very lucky that we are once again going to be doing coverage of the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500, our third year in a row doing coverage. Well, one of the greatest events of the year, of course, and we are looking to do the same great coverage we have done many, many years already.
Yep, looking forward to it. It seems each Indy 500 just gets better and better, and lots of names. Will Holgate be able to, you know, just add another notch to the dominant year he's had in 2014, the 2014-15 season? If he can win one of the Indy 500s this year, no doubt he will be in the top party, the list of the IndyCar elites of all time. I think he's already there, but if he does another one, it's just going to add another. But, of course, just qualifying for that event, always a challenge.
And there you can see then some of the highlights of 2015 on RaceSpotTV, the 2015 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Also got ourselves the Pro Series for 2015 as well, the Road Warrior Endurance Series, and finally we have ourselves coverage of the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500, and they can see the Endurance Series racing as well. 24 hours today, turning 12 hours to Sebring, the iRacing.com Petit Le Mans, and the Bathurst 1000. Rachel, really is going to be an exciting year for RaceSpot TV.
It will indeed, an exciting and busy year with a lot of incredible racing, some absolute feature events coming up. It's going to be a fun experience for us this year, and hopefully we can bring that to the fans.
Well, here you can see Brandon Trost is still right there behind de Jong, and we've got ourselves 12 laps to go this time by. So, will these people be able to fuel save? Will it work out, of course, for Rob Ungelninks? What about Joe Branch, as he's actually coming onto pit road this time by, Aaron?
Yeah, he's coming in, and he has lost half a second a lap for the past 3 laps, 4 laps to Ungelninks. So this is going to be a very close as to who can come out. Joe Branch is going to have to nail the stop. I think Ungelnink's strategy may pay out, but remember, when Joe Branch comes back onto the racetrack, he's going to have a little bit better tires. So I think this is going to get good. Joe Branch, though, has to hit his stall. This is the critical stop.
I was going to say the fact that he will also have to take a little bit less fuel in his stop, but that won't really make much of a difference because of the fact that he will have to take tyres as well. It's almost a certainty here. 6.8 seconds out and away. It was 7.2 seconds for Ungelink. We're right on board then with Joe Branch. Where is Rob Ungelinks in the battle for the race lead? We're circling like having. There you can see Ungelinks is going to be just about ahead as they work themselves out of turn number 2. The gap between those two drivers, well, it's about 1.2 seconds, Rachel. This race is on.
It is indeed, and another guy who's noticed this race is on is Brandon Trost. He's ditched the toe of Michael de Jong, and he's moving on now. He's second place now behind Martin Nagelkerken. Will he make it on fuel? We do not know, but behind him he does have Tim Holgate looking for recovering another position there. Nagelkerken, we know, is definitely going to have to stop. Trost, we don't know if he's within the window or not. He might still make this. Of course, Joe Branch pitting with 12 to go. We know that Trost can go about 9 laps longer than him. How much has he saved? Has he saved enough? If he has, this is his race. He is well clear of Young, but he'll have to stop.
And
this could be incredible.
And for Brand Trost, if he was short the entire time, I mean, and now he's going, if you waffle on your strategy, it just isn't going to work as Nagelkirchen comes in. And I think Nagelkirchen may have been the car of the race, because the lap that Joe Branch came out, Rob Ungelnieks tried to make a pass on Nagelkirchen, did not work. That cost Ungelnieks about a second, so that allowed Joe Branch to be a little bit closer. So, wow, a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, and let's not forget what happened at IMS. It was actually Brandon Trost running out of fuel in turn number 3 and 4, coming to the white flag after doing a very risky strategy. It almost paid out for him. He was only 1.5 laps out in that one on a very long green flag run. No one would have known, of course, it would have been that long. He tried to get track position, didn't work out for him. Tim Holgate right behind as well. As you can see, pit time there from Major Michael Kirkham, 5.1 seconds. Tim Holgate on pit road, getting himself some fresh boots to go to the end of this race. It's going to be 7 seconds for him. Don't think actually Nagelkirchen took himself tyres. That's going to be a very interesting one for the end of this race. But Joe Branch right behind now, Rob Ungelnieks, and this is going to be a showdown in the last 8 laps of this event, Aaron.
Yes, this could be the battle for the win, or it could be the battle for second or third. We really don't know what Michel De Jong and Brandon Trost, they both stay out. We are now on lap 145. Does Trost have 5 laps of fuel? Meanwhile, can Ungelnieks hold off Joe Branch? You know, Rob Ungelnieks been racing a long time. Winning here would be an amazing win for him. Same with Joe Branch, the two of them. I thought it's going to be a battle. But we're not going to know till the end. Is that the battle for the win, or does Brand Trost have enough fuel? Oh boy, this is going to get good.
Yeah, of course you got Mikel de Jong there as well, but here you can see Joe Branch right behind, looking down to the inside as they come down in towards turn number 3 and 4. There you can see then Joe Branch side by side, battle for position. Rob Ungelnieks trying to hold on to that 3rd place, and Joe Branch will have, no he won't, he'll fall back into the line. That could be a critical factor of this race, Rachel. The fact that Joe Branch wasn't able to get that move that first time around, but Branch is looking strong through turn number 2 once again, so work himself down the back straight away. Branch should, no he doesn't have the inside line to 3 again there.
No, he's just backing out a little bit. I think he's trying to get a little bit closer so he can get a run out of the corner wheel. Best place being out of 4 into 1. He's going to have to try and get a little bit closer to the gearbox of Rob Ungelnieks, but I think he might be able to do it. He's certainly in the seat right now. This is critical for him. As we said, is he the first or his second? But a big run there for Joe Branch, sorry. Right down the inside of Ungelnieks. If he can get a little bit closer, he can have that inside line and make that pass complete into the corner. Moving up a little bit just to push Rob Ungelnieks off the optimal line there. He will get nearly past him. He won't have it too wide again. Could be completed in 1 and 2. This is getting exciting, Will.
Yeah, and if you see there that Branch actually wasn't able to have the clear inside line into turn number 2.
Yeah,
so De Jong is in, and you see Trost is stay out. We have still got side-by-side racing. This is the battle for what now will be P2, P3. Branch on the inside, Ungelnieks on the outside. We'll get the white flag next time by for these drivers. And Joe Branch looking so again, they will stay side by side. These two drivers, incredible racing by them as they work themselves down into 1 and 2. But it looks like Ungelnieks is able to hold on. What is going on with Brandon Trost? He sees the white flag this time by. So can he do it enough? He's got the fuel. He can run out now and he will bring it home. This is the gap. It's 16.4 seconds.
Out.
Even if he's out of fuel.
He
is out of fuel. He's got that first cough.
No, he's good.
But even if he makes it now, he should be good. Down into 3 and 4, he will come. Brandon Trost, it didn't work out for him at Indianapolis. It does work out for him today at Gateway. Brandon Trost is a winner in the 16th Street Racing League with a fuel strategy win. He led early on. He's able to use fuel strategy to get himself back into the lead. And then a great, determined drive by Brandon Trost. And Brandon Trost in the last lap able to get himself ahead of Rob Ungelnieks as well. So Brandon Trost wins the race, but Joe Branch comes home in 2nd position, Aaron.
Yeah, if first you don't succeed, try and get. And Brand Trost, he went to that strategy, saved enough fuel. Michel De Jong's probably Brandon Trost's best friend, I think, that draft, but Brandon Trost was able to do coast around another lap. Let's see if he has enough fuel for donuts. His car comes to a stop, and does he have anything? I'm going to say that car is... he still has a little bit, but no, out of fuel now, so just enough good to the last drop. Brandon Trost, what a strategy, and what a battle between Ungelnix and Joe Branch.
Well, let's
Trost
actually
still
go.
has more fuel.
I want to stop you. Ungelnix had himself contact the wall. He pushed too high in turn 1 and 2. We just saw the replay there. We'll get ourselves another look at that one. That's the reason why Joe Branch was able to go past so cleanly. Ungelnix kind of cracked under pressure in turn number 1 and 2. We will slow it down as they work themselves through turns number 1 and 2, and there you can see Ungelnix right about there, pushing himself just high on the racetrack, and that was what the reason was. That's why Branch was able to get past Aaron. Ungelnix making himself contact the wall, bottling under pressure a little bit there.
Oh, it happens so often. You run so long, and you get to that final lap, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to take turn 1 the same way I've done every single time, and you just carry in a little bit too much speed. Unforced error there, and he realized he was in trouble at the apex of 1 and 2, lifted out of the gas, and that allowed Joe Branch to swoop to the inside. So for Ungelnix, probably going to be a little disappointed. Yes, he finished 3rd, but when you're in a heated battle, and that was a great battle between him and Branch, when you're in a battle like that and you lose it on the last lap, it stings.
Well, here you can see then Brandon Trost, so you can see coming down. He did have enough fuel to get those donuts done. A winner for the first time for him in the 16th Street Racing League. And what a remarkable race. And I have to say, great drive by Brandon Trost. In the early going, was able to get himself to the front. Then afterwards, he was able to do the fuel strategy thing. He tried it at IMS. Didn't quite work out for him. Retribution, potentially now for him.
Yes, and I'll go back to what I said at Indy. As long as he ran on fuel, I think there's a couple bottles of extra gas somewhere in that car, so the tech officials will probably take a look at that. But no, great win by Brandon Trost. He committed to that strategy early, and well, I think this is the first time, I mean, I've said this almost every single race, and we compare it to Tony Kanaan at Pocono last year. Once you go to a strategy, you have to stick with it. And so often we see people flip-flop, waffle back and forth. This is the first time I think we've seen a driver commit to a strategy, stick with it, and it pay out huge dividends in the end.
Yeah, and I have to say, great win there here today by Brandon Trost. We'll run you through, ladies and gentlemen, your final race results, and it is Brandon Trost who claims victory here today then by 16.2 seconds. Actually, our biggest oval victory win of the year over Joe Branch. Rob Ungelnix coming home in the 2nd position. Sorry, Rob Ungelnix in 3rd, Martin Ekel-Kirken in 4th, Mikael de Jong in the 5th position, Tim Miller 6th, Tim Holgate 7th, Dave Jinks in 8th, Eric Davis 9th, and then Matt Kingsbury running out your top 10. Ray Kingsbury 11th after being disqualified from this race. Randy Conway 12th, Vic Cordell 13th, Brian Karzeski, Brendan McGregory, Taylor Timpson, Brendan Lichtenberg, Austin Espartee, and Nathan Seaver rounding out your field here today. We'll step aside for just one moment. We'll be back with post-race interviews after this.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to post-race coverage here from the 16 Street Racing League at Gateway, where Brandon Trost was able to do what he couldn't do at Indy, was able to hold on and claim victory with an impressive fuel mileage battle. Now, Trost, we didn't get the chance to talk to you at Indy, so first of all, let's go back there. How close were you to being able to make it on fuel back at IMS?
I ran out right after I hit the wall, basically, so I was nowhere close.
Well, to come to the race here today, of course, he was close, and you were able to stay out 9 laps longer than your competition in the early going. How important was committing to that fuel strategy in the early going to you getting a race victory here today?
It was very important. You needed 2 runs to be able to do that. If you weren't saving that first run, I don't think you could have saved it all in the second run.
Now, we saw a long green flag run at the start, then, quote-unquote, a couple of cautions. That's all I'm going to have to say about that one. I'm a professional broadcaster, people. But then, of course, we had a couple of cautions that kind of came into play there. What is your thoughts after that final caution, and how committed were you to that fuel mileage? And do you think you could have won that race had it have, just been a flat-out shootout?
I think I could have won it if I had stayed out there, but I looked at it and I was like, there's only 6, maybe 7 cars running at that point, and I was like, the odds of us getting another yellow are pretty low.
Well, you are finally a winner in the 16 Street Racing League. How does it feel?
Good. I mean, I think this is my 2nd win this season, so...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Trost claiming victory. Anyone you'd like to say thank you to?
No, not really.
There we are. Brandon Trost claiming victory. However, Aaron, still a more in-depth interview there than Marshall Lynch.
Indeed.
We've also got Rob Unglings. He came home in the 2nd position here today. And Rob, it was close. You had a great battle with Joe Branch at the end. Take us through what happened.
Well, I know that he had come in a little bit earlier than I did, or later than I did, so he had a little bit fresher tires, and I figured I could hold him off. And I saw Martin up ahead of me, and I said I have to get ahead of him. And I did what I could, but came up short, and that I think that cost me up to about a second. And then he was right on my tail for the rest of that run.
Well, it was very close coming into the final lap. It looks like you just brushed high in turn number 1 and 2. How old and how hard were your tyres at that point? And also, how difficult was it to actually get yourself around this racetrack and what looked to be old tyres here today?
Well, I kind of rolled the dice towards the end. I said I was going to go ahead and short pit it and just run flat out on 2 stints, and that's what I did. I knew that Brandon had a little bit more fuel because I saw him duck in ahead of me on one of the cautions. So I knew it was going to be tough, so I just said, okay, let's just go all out, and they started to give out towards the end.
But third place here today. Good points in the championship. What's your thought as we head back to the road course in 1 week's time?
It's one of those things. I love driving on the roadside. I just got to make sure that I don't make any silly mistakes. A couple offs here and there, like last week at Watkins Glen, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Rob Unglings coming home here today in a podium position, just outside of the podium spots. However, ladies and gentlemen, was the one, the only, the irreplaceable Martin Nagel Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. Don't forget to breathe, eh?
Hey, well, 4th place here today. Overall, you've got to be impressed by that finish.
Yeah, with the end result, I'm happy as that couldn't have been better. I was just looking to finish the race. It's first full race in 16th Street. I gotta be honest, there was some curse words throwing in my living room when that last lap started and Brendan wasn't going into the pit lane. That sort of didn't sit well with me. But hey, congratulations. Fuel strategy is a valid strategy. You showed that again.
Yep, and of course for you, a top 5 finish here today. Let's put, racing for the W aside to one point. point at this stage of the championship is vital.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me, starting late, I couldn't make the earlier races. I'm just hoping to do as well as possible in the championship, and any point is a bonus. That's what I'm going for.
But top 5 here today. Next week we better head back over to the road courses. We know that you are very strong on the road course. What's your thoughts as we head on to our next round of competition?
Well, I'm hoping to get the trifecta, another top 5 at least. I mean, you gotta be a little bit ambitious. So, we'll see.
Well, ambition's always a positive thing, of course. And imagine Uncle Kirk coming home in the top 5 here today. And of course, Aaron, next time out, we head to the most difficult of all the road courses, in my opinion. Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's going to be tough.
Oh, Mid-Ohio. That's, as a driver, love it. As a racer, hate it. Very fun, great flow, but when it comes to racing, it is one of the most difficult tracks that we go to pass at. Maybe, it's hard to say there's one passing zone, about half a pass zone if you can get into the keyhole very good, or maybe the turn after that, turn 5, is it? But as a driver, love it. Great flow, great feel. The rolling hills of the back half of the track, turn 1's very fun, but if you get stuck behind a slow car and you're faster, one of the most frustrating tracks you'll ever go to.
And of course, Aaron, the thing is as well, we start the race, of course, in the 16 Street Racing League on the backstretch after the keyhole, which removes the danger of drivers at the rear of the field coming down to turn number 1. But what it does mean is the trying to bend, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, turn 1 incidents rather common there. Real life and sim racing, of course. Marco Andretti took a rollover there several years ago, I think in 07. So that turn 1, yes, it is safer there, but it's maybe safer, but you get that right-hander, and then you may survive that, but then you go up the hill to the left-hander, and that can make starting on pole kind of interesting, because if the outside guy gets a good run, he then has the inside for the next corner on the switchback, and well, if you can survive that, it's then a long road to the finish, but next week's start should be entertaining.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for here today. We will let you know if there is a change to the scheduling time for next week, of course. We've got ourselves the Indianapolis Colts heading over to Foxborough to play Peyton Manning and the gang. That will, of course, be next week. But we also have the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the 16th Street Racing League. That will be, of course, here only on RaceSpotTV. Myself, Will Vincent, also from Aaron Likens and Rachel Whiteford. We shall talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.
We off?